advocate for affordable housing, and in particular for housing for homeless. While he was mayor of San Francisco, he was really the driving force behind creating a comprehensive 10-year plan to address homelessness in the city of San Francisco. And I have to say, he brought truly a visionary approach to addressing the problems of homelessness. He actually walked the streets and talked to people and said to his staff, look, how can we expect people to come to us to deliver the services that they need? We need to go out to them. And so he created homeless outreach teams. And then he created something that was just truly innovative and has become not only a national, but an international replicable model, and that was Project Homeless Connect, where not only program providers, but nonprofits and volunteers come together in a central location about every 6 weeks for one day to deliver services to homeless individuals. And I think that the proof in the pudding is not only that you're visionary and you have wonderful programs, but what are the end results? And the fact of the matter is that San Francisco has had a significant reduction in chronic homelessness, and it's been sustained through this really difficult economic time. So please join me in welcoming and giving a big thanks to Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom.
Thank you very much. And, well, first, thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for your faith, devotion, constancy on behalf that need a voice, on behalf of millions of Californians that are desperate for your efforts to pay great dividends. We are clearly living in extraordinarily difficult times, and as a consequence, your advocacy is now more important than ever. And we've got to do things differently as a consequence of these times. And we've got to organize ourselves in a more deliberative manner. We've got to focus not just on public-private partnerships, but public-public partnerships. Start building capacity, neighborhood by neighborhood, community by community, cities and counties working more closely together, and the state needs to step up and step in, particularly in the area of homelessness. I appreciate Ophelia's comments about some of the work we did in San Francisco, but one thing I learned quickly is there is no having made it. Success as it relates to homelessness is not a place, it's not a definition, it's a direction. We have been successful in San Francisco. Doug Shoemaker is here, who really helped lead a lot of these efforts by getting over 12,000 human beings housing. This is the most significant housing expansion in our city's history, but we only reduced our population by roughly 30%. Point being, we recognize that we're not dealing with a static population, and by no means is our 47.5 square miles the only jurisdiction as it relates to the issue of poverty and homelessness, and it clearly bleeds over from county to county, region by region, and state by state. And that's why the state of California needs to step up and step in a much more meaningful way. This is not a point of critique, but it is a point of observation. As a supervisor, as a mayor, there wasn't a heavy focus or emphasis on homelessness in this state. We have more people living in poverty, and we have more homeless than any other state in our nation, yet there wasn't significant leadership. There were bright lights always. Assemblywoman Atkins and people like Darrell Steinberg and Prop 63, there were always people that stood tall, but there wasn't a coordinated, deliberative voice around the issue, passionate, organized, again, committed voice around the issue of solving homelessness. We have got to change that. We have got to turn that around. And we've been meeting and working very collaboratively with our new governor, Governor Brown, about re-energizing and recommitting ourselves to this effort by creating a new interagency council on homelessness within the state and really start connecting dots, region by region, and building on the work that you are successfully doing. And I say that successfully doing because one thing that's not lost on me is the extraordinary work that is being done in this state. We know how to solve this issue. There is a lot of evidence that we know how to solve homelessness because you're doing it every single day. So for those that don't believe it's possible to end homelessness, there is overwhelming evidence to suggest they're simply wrong. It's a question of scale. It's a question, again, of resolve and commitment. That scale and that resolve and that commitment has now been amplified. And I'm very proud. You may have already got word, Secretary Donovan's office, Ophelia's great work, have just released a new announcement for the state of California. In addition to the baseline funding for homeless services, the $227 million for 801 programs in this state, we got additional grant that was announced today of $36.9 million for 81 new programs that end homelessness in our state. It's a big deal. I cannot impress upon you how extraordinary it is to have the leadership of Sean Donovan and a number of cabinet secretaries in the Obama administration. I'm happy to call balls and strikes. I have no problem criticizing other people. Certainly I criticize myself every single day about things we can do better. But one thing I can't criticize, we got on a conference call just a few weeks ago, and we had 4 cabinet secretaries talking to 2 governors and a lieutenant governor for over an hour on homelessness. It wasn't perfunctory, not because they had to do it. There's real passion here. Arnie Duncan gets this. Sean Donovan gets this. Hilda Solis gets this. They understand the totality of the problem. They understand their individual and collective responsibility, and they understand what you understand, the backdrop of the macroeconomics that makes this even more difficult, more than ever. So I just want to emphasize how proud I am of that commitment, how proud I am of their example, and how enthusiastic I am as we move forward together to find my way into this issue in a formal way. I'm just waiting for a nod from the good governor's office, because I want to lead the charge in this state, because again, this for me is not politics, it's really about a principle that got me into this line of work in the first place. And anytime I travel rural areas, not just the urban areas of this state, I sit there scratching my head, how can the wealthiest state and the wealthiest nation God ever conceived have hundreds of thousands of people that any given day in this state are living in the indignity, being out in the streets and sidewalks. We know how to solve this. Housing solves homelessness. Shelters just solve sleep. We have got to get into the housing business. That's the way we approximate a solution to this problem. So let me just conclude again, as I began, by thanking all of you for your great work, for leveraging dollars, for doing more now than you've ever been asked to do in your own creative way. And I'll just end with this. Continue to do what you've done, we'll get what we've got. This state can't afford to keep doing what it has done. This is not eloquent words, but the emphasis is we've got to do things differently. Build capacity, build partnerships, public-private, but public-public. Engage cities to engage their counties more effectively, focus on regional plans, and connect the dots in the wealthiest state in our nation, California, and we can then make a dent that will enliven people's senses all across this country and do justice to the commitment that we're now receiving from this administration and do justice to the work that every one of you do every single day. Thank you all very much.